Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, the 19th of January, 2023. So in there we have 0119 or 119 or 911. And then we also have 2023, which adds up to 7. So you can also incorporate that into gematria or numerology for the significance of today. And I already looked at a few of the things that are being reported for being on this day in history, and it's just fake stuff. Anyway, before I get into that stuff, I didn't do a video yesterday. I don't do videos unless I generally think that there's relevant points. But I actually forgot that there was actually a lot of points that I had been sharing on my other social media platforms that I could have mentioned in a video, right? And so like one of them being, it's probably in my notes, but I don't really look at them. But with Greta Thunberg, she's unfortunately she's been groomed into this position that she's in order to push the climate change agenda. And so unfortunately they got her at a very young age, and you can see that she's been part of like so many different groups, like in photo ops with Barack Obama and I think Trump as well. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but the Pope for sure. So the Barack Obama, the Pope, and many others. But she's just been in the media. People think that she got arrested, but I shared that this was staged, and even people like Rebel News got it wrong, and it is what it is, right? But like I was even telling them right away, and you can look at my comments and stuff like that, and look at my social media because I saved my stories on Instagram. But I was saying right from the beginning that this was staged because of the networks that I'm in, and so oh my goodness, I appreciate the people that do watch my videos. I do hope that people start subscribing, liking, and sharing if they do like the information I'm giving. Not necessarily the person that's giving it, right? Because I know that I could be annoying with how I talk and things like that. I can be socially awkward, only more so now because I've been living alone now for a few years, and it's been really hard, especially with the mandates and the lockdowns within the province of Ontario, where like I was confined to my home, and even though I was resisting the mandates and not getting vaccinated, and on a regular basis pushing the information, like the real medical, government, and scientific data to all levels of government, no one was taking it seriously at all, and even with like my education system that I was in, like people like not listening to the information, not getting back to me, or just like laughing in my face, and or vilifying me, and or saying like character assassination and things like that, which generally happens when people cannot refute the points or the data people share. They have to attack someone's character, right? And try to put them at a lower level in some way, which is such a classic tactic, right? That's been used for so many different years. And it's anyways, it's such a lower mind lower emotion like type of like debate, anyway, tactic. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, it was made up, and I shared that she was like laughing, and this was staged, and whatever, and she's pushing the climate agenda, and this is not something that has anything to do with with like the like temperature changes and stuff like that, because like I've shared as well that so many every country has this like climate change agenda, saying like, oh, the hottest temperatures in like decades or hundreds of years, or record breaking heat or record breaking cold, and things like that in every single country, like I said, in different languages. And so anyway, it has nothing to do with what they're pushing, and everything to do with corporations and like this military pharmaceutical industrial complex over polluting the world, and mismanaging our resources and exploiting us in various different countries, and then shredding trees, exploiting the resources, like I said, and the people, and we're not doing anything about it. It is what it is. But anyway, so was I going to talk about the T, like the sun and Christ, like T connects the zodiac wheel as well. So like I was going to talk about like even letters have significance, and the alphabets, and different alphabets have different numerical values, like with how many symbols they use, and or letters, and consonants and vowels. And so Hebrew, for example, it's 22, and for our alphabet it's 26. And but like when you have like a cross in a circle, like that's also like a T, and represented in Christ, and Christ representing the sun, and then also this like the zodiac wheel, and the clock, this zodiacal clock, and then this flat Earth model where there's it could be circular, it could be square, It could be a freaking pyramid, right? We don't know because we haven't been able to get beyond this dome, or even go to like other areas in order to research this for ourselves. And I know personally groups, corporations, or where they've even gone like literally just in the last week to places like Antarctica and stuff like that. And I wanted to go, and I was trying to get access back to that group and that community that I was in. But since the beginning of the pandemic, like I was saying, that there was like this was like a leaked virus, and that there wasn't these like multiple different variants, and that they weren't isolating it. I was talking about the PCR tests. I was saying that this came earlier than we were being led to believe, and that pushed me completely out of like the circle that I was in, unfortunately. And people still have not tried to reach out again, even though I've still been like consistently looking at their posts and liking their stuff and sharing they're trying to get that network built, you know what I mean? Because this is bigger than all of us, and it's bigger than ego. And I'm just hoping that someday they realize that that these are missed opportunities. And I could have won again, like when people were doing like various jumps in different continents, and taking footage and taking video, like videos, and experimented, and possibly like even with the snow and ice, like taking it back, and just did some research. Like there's so many things I could have done, right, in order to prove like the reality of the world, and that was lost again. And it's really unfortunate because like we should be working together. And I don't understand why, like I don't know, I don't understand why there's so much resistance still, even with all the proof that I've shared, even without being able to get into certain areas to prove it, but showing that people have repeatedly tried to go into places like Antarctica and the North Pole, and been like threatened and or like pushed back by corporate, like whoever it is, like security. I don't know if it's private security, or if they're military, or if they're militia, like who knows, right? Because like I'm involved in all those different various groups, and or have like networks, or know people in those groups, and so, and they all do that stuff. And even in the Washington D.C., like in the dome, like in the building, like it shows under a certain light, it shows like the flat Earth model, like with the North Pole in the center, and Mount Meru, or Rupus Nigris, or whatever you want to call it. That's at the center of the Earth as well, and that's magnetic in nature, and why our compasses work, where it faces that direction. But when you get close to it, it messes up. Oh my goodness, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but like I was looking at the pagan fish god, what they're calling it, the pagan fish god Dagon, Dagon, and he's mentioned in the Bible 9 times. 9 is a spiritual number, a sacred number. And then you've got the 6 and the 9, which can be reversed, which can be the Fibonacci spiral symbolism, and or the yin and yang that shows the shadows being cast and the sun being cast by the luminaries, like the sun and the moon, for example, and like within this realm, this artificial multi-dimensional simulated reality with a flat plane of inertia being projected through our cerebral spinal fluid, and the connection between the pituitary gland, pineal gland, and thalamus, and that connection with the CSF, and having proper functioning DMT, melatonin, and like hormonal levels, stuff like that. Sun gazing are things that help with healing. But anyway. But even the hat worn by the Pope, it shows like it symbolizes like that, like the fish god, right? So like you even have like that, like the head of the fish, that's the shape of the that big hat that the Pope wears, and other people in different occult groups. So you've got different days of the week that there's more like ancient reasons why they were named the way they were, and what they represented or what they symbolized. So, like even Tuesday, TIW, was the god of war in Old English, Anglo-Saxon, and the day of Mars. Sunday, it's speaks for itself. Like it's to pay tribute to the sun, and Jesus being like the representation of that, etc. And then you've got like a moon day. And then Wednesday, Wooden, Wooden, or Woden, god of wisdom, and some different like older like ancient languages, and like Mercury is also represented, also the ruler of wars, like on Wednesday, or Wooden's day. Thursday, Thor's day, god of thunder, or god of truth or thought. My writing is so bad. Friday, Venus, goddess of love, sorry. Or Friss. Saturday, Saturn's day, god of agriculture. So then you got like the three cults of the religions like that are broken down within the world. You got the three cults of heaven worship is what they want to call it, I guess, and you got the solar cult, which is more about sun worship, like obviously being the name, and an example of like the solar cult, even though people don't want to believe it, but again, like even with like the representation of Jesus with the sun in the back, and then you've got the Last Supper with like the zodiac and the like the 12 signs, like representing like the apostles or the disciples, and then the sun being like directly behind Jesus, like I was saying, and then you've got the 3 days, like where he died, and then that the sun dies between the 22nd to the 25th, depending on which like a calendar you want to look at or system you want to look at, and then raises again or born again like on the 25th, and again very symbolic with the Christian religion, and then you've got the lunar religion or cult, which is about moon worship, and an example of this, like even with Mecca and like the square, and the anyway, the representation of or an example of moon worship religions is Islam, and then you've got the stellar religions, which is about the stars and the planets, and more specifically more worshiping of Saturn, and then Venus, I guess, in some as well. But then you've got like the Satanists or Saturns or Saturnians and whatever you want to call it. There's different groups that again where there's this worship. But then another example of the stellar religion, where they're more worshiping of these stars and planets, would be Judaism. So there's different ways that people that write the scripts, like I said, that there's different countries that have different scripts, they have different roles they need to play, and this may or may not be like various different like experiments being done, like and so vastly and drastically different that it just like they're able to like I don't know, like do like it's a lot of concurrent activity, right? And then even when you look at their flags, right, with the crescent moon in various different countries, or like the sun in like even symbolic of like the red sun, because like the sun apparently used to be red at certain periods of time as well, or the sky was red as well, like Japan, for example, and in other countries, and then with the and then when you've got like the combination of the like the stars and the planets in others. These are all convenient ways to divide people, right? And when you make it seem like what they're believing in is the right one and divine, even though there's like good messages that could be shown in each, and they all like together like work more like in balance. And anyway, I go on all these tangents. But then anyways, even with Martin Luther King Day that just passed as well, there was a lot of like stuff that was being shared again about like that he was given 72 days to admit to the public that he like was having adulterous affairs, or he did in the past. And this is why by like CIA, like this was government people that had contacted him and said that they were going to release photos and proof of this. And then and then he was assassinated, right? And so like this again, just like JFK, this was an inside job. And I just shared more footage too, where that it like you can see that the driver may or may not have had more involvement to do with his assassination than we realize, right? So like he had already been shot, and then you see his wife try to comfort him and things like that. He had already been injured, but then you see like the driver like do like a turn or whatever, and it could easily be like that was where the shot was taken to do the final blow in the head. And then you see her like trying to like leave like the vehicle at that point, because like obviously the threat was there. So this is very instinctual. So like when I looked at and observed like not only what was going on, but like the reaction afterwards, like there's certain behaviors that happen once people feel like they're in a fight or flight immediate threat, or that the threat is in close proximity. And again, being an infantry officer for 15 years and doing a lot of training, we do a lot more training in Canada than in the US, because we have a smaller military. So you have to be a jack of all trades. And so like even for I did my basic training, which was like a few months long, like 15 or 16 weeks, I believe it was. And then you do a common army phase, and like that's another like 3 months, and then you do like a phase 3 infantry, which is a huge failure rate in it, and then as well as like 3.5 to 4 months could be, depending on I don't know what it is now. And then phase 4 infantry, which is like for mechanized. So you do light infantry tactics, and then you do mechanized infantry tactics in your fourth phase of training. And then like that's all like higher level stuff, and like utilizing like higher level assets and things like that. And then you go to a battalion, and then go to war and stuff like that. And yeah, so like I can where was I going with this stuff? Oh my goodness. Yeah, so there's people that possibly don't have like the most perfect pasts, but if people would like own up to it more, like that's where like people don't have the power over you. So like if people, or you get killed. So like the people that don't care what gets exposed about them, because they want to be like the spreaders of truth, and they're trying to like make the world a better place, then I don't know, like it takes like it takes courage. And this is where like someone like MLK was possibly like he understood and believed that this information that he was that was being held from the public, that this is stuff that was like beyond him, and beyond his like adultery, or possibly like having his character assassinated and things like that, when there's so many people that are in government now as we speak, that are pedophiles and human traffickers and or enable it. Okay, and so like I feel like these are things that are significantly worse than like people having adulterous affairs. Not saying that it's not like wrong, you know what I mean, but people can also like learn and change, and we have to give people a little bit more room to be human. And I don't know, I'm going on all these tangents, but because he still did a lot of good, right? So like even if for example, if I had heard that he had an adulterous affair or whatever, like that still wouldn't, it would be, I don't know, like there's just more to the story. And oftentimes, and yeah, like I'm divorced too. Like I was cheated on through my marriage, and it was an awful relationship. I won't get into it, but it ended up where I was left, even in like the home that I bought, that would like we were supposed to start a family in. And even knowing that was a bad idea, like in my gut I should have just left earlier, but I was still ultimately like my credit cards were ran up so that he could go and see this person that he was seeing for I don't even know how long. Could have been a year, could have been a few years, and he had cheated on me with a few people. And anyway, it is what it is. But even though it was hard, I still got out of that relationship, because it does take like unfortunately the person that has that experienced like the unfortunate things in order to be strong enough to leave, right? And so for women it's oftentimes like a lot harder, because like we're usually not the ones that are the breadwinners, or that have our names on houses, or that can afford it, and or like just like overwhelmed, right? And in so many different ways, and knowing that if you're single, like there's more vulnerabilities being a single female and being the weaker sex, and knowing that there are still like people out there that target and exploit women, and yeah, and obviously something that I know from personal experience as well. And so even being in abusive relationships was often like I was trying to like see if that was like compare if that was better than being single, especially being in an environment where I was more around people that were seen as the more like alpha, and or on the right hand side of the behavioral spectrum, for like more overly aggressive and violent tendencies and stuff like that, which you generally see in the more like careers like the infantry, you know what I mean, and like law enforcement and the first responder type people, right? Because like these are people that like the warriors, and there's that necessity for controlled aggression, but to have aggression and the willingness to, and the courage and the strength, etc., to defend and or protect one's home and or country. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern finally, like, she resigns. Like, how do these people not get fired or jail? I still don't understand it. Like, and it is what it is. But even caught on the record, like sniffing crack, and like I smoke pot, so it's not like I'm judging it, but like it's just if you're the Prime Minister, like what are like really? Oh my God. and like all the mandates and measures and stuff like that. Complete sociopath. And how is she not in jail when there's so much information coming out even more that shows, that proves that they had the information right from the beginning and were suppressing it because they didn't want to like look like they were wrong, or they didn't want to stop themselves or their friends from benefiting from like the rollout of the vaccines and all the like the mandates and measures that were put in place, and like and all the people that have profited and benefited from Russia and Ukraine, from the Afghanistan pullout, from like so many different things. It's disgusting. Like the Freedom Convoy, still people don't understand this was bought for and paid for and planned by the same people that that do like organize and plan these things for like Black Lives Matter and Antifa and like QAnon and all these other groups, right? Like it's there's plants everywhere. There's crisis actors everywhere. Brian Fox, check him out. He was funded and or hired by Marco Mendicino, our public safety officer, the one person in Canada, or one of the few in Canada that is supposed to be defending Canada, and he's actually trying to incite riots and blame it on people that are unvaccinated, and then trying to paint them as being white supremacists and all these crazy things. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. When the people that actually were at the Freedom Convoy to try to discuss like the mandates and the measures, there was even Holocaust survivors that were literally speaking, and I shared this on my social media, and I would highly encourage people to take a look at it. But like a woman speaking on I just want to get her name. Sorry, my stomach is going like all over the place. It was Vera Sharav, VERA SHARAV, and a Holocaust survivor. And she was saying that, actually, I'll just get my notes. It took like the Holocaust survivor. So it was 9 years of incremental restrictions, suspensions of legal, civil, and human rights. So she was saying that like even during the war, like it was in 1941, and she was saying that her and her family had been taken away from I believe it was Romania. Yes, it was Romania to go to the Ukraine in a concentration camp. Again, like this was not Germany. A lot of these atrocities were committed literally on the outside of Germany, in Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Ukraine, like these places. And it was more at the end of the war where these people were mass executed through the gas chambers. But before that, and she was even saying too, like her father, she lost him early on in the early 1940s in the concentration camps because of typhoid. And I've said this as well. There were millions of people that died because they were segregated. They were vilified, and they were put in austere conditions that where they were left like either starved to death and or just like malnutrition and then being around people that were sick and highly contagious and where things could easily spread. And again, this is even happening still present day in Canada, in the US, and prison systems. Yeah. So it was leading up to it. So the human experiments, eugenics, there was a social and economic inequality that was justified, and euthanasia and genocide was allowed, and then allowing people to be put into areas, in mass areas, like even children, with people where they knew they had infectious diseases that were lethal for the majority of the population. Disgusting. And then we have people that are in government that are not only funding people to try to vilify groups, where they're even like talking to people. Marco Mendicino texts with people to talk about employing tanks, like trying to stage a riot with Brian Fox, a crisis actor company guy called Enterprise, but then also and a liberal, but then also talking about tanks, and then having people like me who was trying to get, like I was in my third year cognitive science degree at that point. I was still trying to share COVID information to Carleton University. I was still trying to share information about the freaking reality of the earth to like multiple science departments, including my psycholinguistics science teacher who's using pronouns in her freaking work. So like that just tells you right there that like the science is like a linguistics teacher, right? So she's supposed to make like language easier and make it where it's at the root level, again, like simple as possible and as basic as possible, and where it can be universally adopted. And with all of these pronouns, like it's not going to be universally adopted. It makes no sense, and you can't formulate structures as like a proper sentence structures or like or paragraphs with anyway, it is what it is. But they're bought, they're bribed, they're blackmailed, and people care more about their egos than they care about that than Canada. And so this is unfortunate, and why how are these people not taken out of government already? It's clearly while people like me have been sharing information with these assholes, they have been hiding it and censoring it, and people like me getting my accounts deleted and censored and shadow banned and pushed down the algorithms when people want to look at real information, and when people's lives are at risk or their children's lives are at risk. This is mortifying to me, right? It's and these people are looking like assholes now, right? With people like Elon Musk coming out speaking public. I don't know if he's good or bad, but I do certainly know that the stuff that he's doing right now is leading to really good outcomes, and finally calling out the military pharmaceutical industrial complexes for what they are, and even addressing the fact that WEF is they have imposed themselves as this world leader, and they're not, right? And they were not elected. They don't benefit people, and in fact they're exploiting a lot of people, and they look at economics and financial gains and profits before human life and safety, and these are things that we need to really again start paying attention to, because when I'm saying that history is repeating itself, I'm giving examples too, about even Lori Lightfoot, by the way, she in the news about bribing kids. Only the ones that would be inclined to vote for her, though. It's so shady. We're such shady people. I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place with my video 25 minutes in. Oh, okay. Yeah, Davos right now, WEF's holding their meetings. People should be paying attention to this stuff and just what they're trying to push and how disgusting it is, and how they're trying to really disconnect us from our spirituality, and just treat us as these physical avatars, which is not even remotely it's the least important out of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there's always prostitutes that make their way to Davos. So again, in record numbers, a lot of prostitutes and high-level escorts, and models, that are walking escorts, or catwalking escorts, or whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, they're all in Davos now, and so even married men are out. Likely, if they're already there now, or if they're making their way, they're soon. Men and women, sorry, but again, I'm from a career that was predominantly male, and so even being hit on repeatedly by married men, but also unwanted advances and stuff like that. Yeah, but anyways, but by men that weren't even not married, but in relationships, and or seeing it for myself that they were a lot of men cheating on their girlfriends and or their wives when I've done training or courses or traveled in various areas. And even myself, even I was cheated on, which is annoying because I was hit on every single freaking day in my career, and I always declined advances. Always, I've never cheated in any of my relationships, and I'm very proud of that. And well, I mean, it should be expected. I guess you shouldn't be proud of something that you should be doing. But I'm saying I didn't I never. I was never spiteful enough to cheat on my exes, even when they had cheated on me, and I try to have that forgiveness and move on, and then still repeatedly getting cheated on even afterwards. I didn't take the repeated opportunities to also cheat. I left the relationships eventually. Anyway, that's what people should be doing even though it's hard. Oh my goodness. So yeah, even talking about 90% of patients that were hospitalized with COVID, they were hospitalized with COVID and not for COVID. And we're even I've shown journalists where there were people that were murdered, it was gunshot wounds, even it talked to even saying it as part of his script, and then even him being confused and realizing how stupid it sounds, but saying and this is yet again another COVID death. And so blaming it on COVID, it's just been so hilarious. Not hilarious, it's unfortunate, but it's just been over. I guess it's wild. It's nothing shocks me anymore. Ugh, ow. But except for that, it was funny bone. Anyway, yeah. So they were misrepresenting numbers and stats to deceive us, and even now they're saying that all these these studies are showing an increase in stroke in people that are 65 and over. By the way, it's increases in stroke in anyone who took the vaccine, and they're saying oh, we did all these tests, or all the studies showed beyond the 3-week mark, beyond the 3-week mark. It's all about beyond the 3-week mark, and I shared this in my video too. But they're look at the studies of the increases in strokes with underneath 3 weeks and under, right? So this is why people were not even counting people that died from the vaccine if it happened within like 2 weeks because they were not counting it as being fully vaccinated because it didn't run its course through your body yet. So criminal, right? And so this is why now when I see that they're doing these like these studies beyond the 3 week mark, it's like, yeah, when it's already like fully out of your system and you have like the ingredients that we're getting that were lethal, like Russian freaking roulette, like no offense, and criminal, like, oh, just anyway, just so misleading. And I don't even know if like they're finally like approved yet at the FDA level. And if they become approved, like it wouldn't surprise me because like they approved like again things like cigarettes and alcohol and like so many different like other like plastics and anyway, you name it. Okay, so let me see here. Am I missing anything? Yeah, so Sam Harris, Fauci, Neil deGrasse, they still don't want to admit that they were wrong about COVID, and it blows my. Well, it doesn't blow my mind. It's just it's ego. And there's just going to be more and more information that comes out that just shows how much of a puppet these people were, and to them it was worth it, I guess. I don't know. Like selling out like the human race, literally. Anyway, NATO admits using Ukraine to bleed Russia. It's on Jimmy Dore. I don't want to like extend this too much, but like again, they're still doing things to like escalate tensions and it's not benefiting anyone from Europe at all. It's not benefiting anyone from Canada. We're getting a lot of money again that's being invested, $500 million again into to weapons. But that again, it doesn't cost that much money to make these weapons or these like these aircrafts and things like that. And then it's going to be people that are friends and family of the freaking people that are like signing these contracts over that are going to be benefiting from this and walking their ways to the freaking bank, while people like me have been sharing information to try to call these people out and losing money and losing family and losing friends in the process. So neat. But again, this is beyond me. This is about me. Yeah, so they're saying that on this day in history, 1883, with the first like electric lighting system employed by Thomas Edison. First of all, he is not the one that invented lighting, and I've also repeatedly shown, and so do people like Autodidactic and John Levy and Bernai and others, that like electricity has been around for thousands of years, if not millions of years, and we just need to we've lost we've lost technology and equipment, and then we've refound it or rediscovered it, and or we're misled and or deceived or lied to about the inventions and things like that. Anyway, Thomas Edison was one of these like elitists that didn't invent it. And there's even like there were electric cities even in the 1600s that even people like Autodidactic and John Levy have shared. And even with like hieroglyphs and petroglyphs all over the world that I've even seen for myself, you can actually see like what they're calling the tree of life or whatever you want to call it in certain groups, but they look like electrical posts. They look like electrical poles. And so and if you look at churches and cathedrals and mosques and colosseums and palaces, and you look at their designs, like they have antennas like right on top of the freaking structures that are shown that they're conductors of electricity, like even the Eiffel Tower is a ground tower. And yeah, it's just like it's fairly obvious that these are again like hundreds of years, thousands of years before Thomas Edison, with lighting systems, like there was lighting, and it was utilized in a more efficient, effective way also. And they were saying on this day as well, like in 2013, calcium deposits discovered on Mars. Come on! Again, we're like, this is all misleading information. We've never gone to Mars. We've never gone to the moon. Well, what they're saying like is the moon, or what they're showing as the moon. What I see with my own eyes, it's absolutely not. Like they're trying to show on freaking CGI video and fake ass, pictures and from like footage that they're taking out of Greenland and Canada's islands. And I've shared this on my Rumble, Don189. Please look at my videos, like and subscribe so that I can get money off of sharing this information, and and not be bound by anyway. Yeah, so like even they're talking about CERN again and so many other space initiatives that this is all like again like money that can be going on so many different things to help us that is going outside of our country, and this is our money, and it's just infuriating. They're talking about global news. 15-minute pop-up communities. Right now, they're saying that they're trialing it with dog parks, these pop-up community dog parks, and they're saying that this was they literally said it. So I shared this on my Instagram, and I'll share it on Twitter as well. But they're saying that it's just the reason why they're doing it is to is as a practice or to stage or it's for these 15-minute pop-up communities for us. Not a great idea, right? When they're talking again about like further like pandemics that are going to be more severe because they're trying to cover up not only vaccine injuries but like again further harm us, which is crazy. Oh my god, I can go on so many rants. No, I think I'm going to leave it at that. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.